Hi, I'm Skip from Oklahoma City.
Oh, I'm Ernestine
Oh.
from New York City.
Are you going to
Yeah, I
participate
know
today
who I
or not, or
was.
just listen to me?
Okay. I thought you would cut it off already.
This is Hazel from Burbank, California.
She's a Burbank
licking
girl.
my hand.
Valley
She's
girl.
got an obsession, addiction, licking my hand. I don't understand
All she
it.
does is slurp.
This is Skip versus Ernestine, round, believe it or not, 32, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. This is couples therapy without the therapist. We are literally putting ourselves on the couch to go places other couples I don't think would go publicly the way we go. We're about to go to some dangerous, crazy places.
Boy. Not that bad, but...
Well, let's start with one that's pretty dangerous. So before we get to your probing provocative questions,
yes.
The other night we did watch a documentary, in part because you know the man who oversaw the documentary.
Wonderful director, Randy Martin, who is a filmmaker, documentarian, who's done amazing documentaries from Journey to Clint Eastwood to Guns N' Roses, Lucille Ball, on and on and on. And he did this amazing documentary, which he told me about a year ago, and it was doing the festival circuit, and then finally they sold it to Amazon, and so we watched it.
We watched it on Saturday night. It's about the rise and the tragic fall of one Karen Carpenter. So we've talked on the show about great and not so great voices. So let's go from not great Sabrina Carpenter to arguably greatest voice ever in Karen Carpenter.
And if you don't know who she is, just look up the Carpenters, and probably somebody has had their song at their wedding from We've only just begun.
Rainy Days and Mondays,
every
Close to You, Superstar, which is our favorite, On Top of the World, which is a sort of a catchy pop song, but it'll get in your head.
Brian Wilson's favorite Beach Boys song.
Favorite Carpenter song, yes,
from the Beach Boys.
And the Carpenters did a Christmas album that gets played again and again and again over every Christmas holiday period. So the documentary is called Starving for Perfection, because Karen Carpenter suffered from anorexia. She was probably the first big celebrity to publicly suffer and then die from anorexia, what was called nervosa at that point.
She didn't have it in the beginning of her career, but as her career began to rise, the pressure of being perfect,
her discomfort with the spotlight, it, so to speak, ate her alive. And then the revelation to me, because I didn't follow it that closely, when she did die in 1983, I believe it was. She was only 32 years of age. She was just getting started. And she died of this syrup that you can take called Ipecac.
She died from a heart attack.
Yeah, but the
growing
prolonged use of this syrup, which induces vomiting. So you eat and then you need to throw up. Some people can get away with for a while just sticking your fingers down your throat to induce vomiting. But if you're really great at it, so to speak, you need this syrup, which is very hard on the heart, and finally induced a heart attack, which killed her at age 32.
And there's some really great people in this documentary that were close to her, from Olivia Newton-John, Carol Burnett. Carney Wilson talks about the influence of Karen Carpenter and the Carpenters on the Beach Boys, and her dad, famous, wonderful icon, Brian Wilson. And it's such an amazing story, because I think her voice has to be one of the best voices that have ever lived as a female singer.
I mean, we can argue Whitney Houston and Barbra Streisand.
Well, she's right up there.
Yeah, she's up there.
Because she has a one-of-a-kind voice.
It's just one of a kind. And it's just
effortless.
Just piercing, because it's a throatier, huskier voice that has real power to it.
But at the same time,
check her
she
out
was amazing.
on YouTube.
But she was one of the first female drummers, because she had this talent that her brother was a great piano player, pianist as a kid.
And an orchestrator. He was sort of the quote-unquote brains behind the operation, but she was the talent.
Voice, but she could drum because when she was a
she was
little girl,
tomboy-ish.
yeah, she was a tomboy and created this wonderful talent that.
Okay, so now to the topic for the two of us. We have both battled different kinds of eating disorders,
Yeah,
and
sure.
we still have our love-hate relationship with food in different ways, but how did this documentary impact you?
To me, I think every girl at some point in their life
Yeah.
goes through this, especially now it's worse than ever because all you see are thin, thin, thin. When I was
I don't know.
younger.
There is the big butt craze.
Yeah, but girls usually growing up, you don't really want to be heavy, you want to be thin. That's really what it was. Now it's okay, a little bit better to be heavier because they're big, beautiful models and it's a different. But when I was growing up, Twiggy was before my generation, but
Yep.
everybody wanted to be thin. And so, of course, and I grew up in an Italian Jewish house, which we ate a lot of food, and it was normal to have on every table challah bread, Italian bread, cheese, pasta, everything in the world. And my mother was a great cook. And
Always
so,
dessert.
yeah,
at your
my mother
house.
homemade desserts. I never ate a box cake ever. Maybe once in a while as a surprise. My father would bring home an Entenmann's cake or Dunkin' Donuts. My mother made cream puffs. Everything every night was a strawberry shortcake from scratch. And so when I was like 10 years old, I was a size 11, which to me, I'm not that tall, is a little bit chunky. And so then I went the reverse, and I remember eating like a half of a grapefruit and a half of a melon for the day and drinking black coffee and taking, back in the day, they had these things, it's a really weird name, it's called AIDS, AIDS, but they were eating, to help you suppress your appetite. And I was popping those, they're like candies, and drinking black coffee. And it's really like a speed. And I remember my heart jumping out of my, chest and, losing my period because I lost so much weight. And so then.
Didn't you go through a running phase?
Oh yeah, then the minute I would eat, I would run. I would go outside and run like another mile just to get rid of the half a grapefruit and half a melon. And then eventually it just stopped. I just decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I think I moved into New York City, and that cured me because I was commuting. And when you commute, you're really, your whole day is screwed up from being on a train and then coming home. And so then it stopped, and I haven't. And I am someone that can never throw up. I can count on one hand how many times in my life I've thrown up because I always have a fear of throwing up, and I don't like throwing up. My sister can throw up at the drop of a hat. My mother could throw up at the drop of a hat. I'm someone, if I have to throw up, it's like, you've seen me one time in the whole 19 years we know each other.
I saw it.
When I had food poisoning, and it was, I freak out. So I could never be that type of anorexic, but I think it affects everyone. And then if you don't nip it fast enough, this is what happens. And back then, I don't think people were as in tune to it as they are now, especially if you were a star. Someone would intercept now, you would hope, and say, hey, like the brother who probably was on tour and would probably know that she was throwing up in the bathroom, whenever you would say, we need to do
the documentary revealed he was fighting Quaalude issues.
Quaalude, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would think somebody would do an intervention, but.
Yet, even you, as of late, have fought this perception that some of our friends have that you're too thin.
Because I'm thin, but
we have
I
a couple of
can't
doctor
help it.
friends who say, Ernestine, you're just too skinny. You need to eat more. You need to blah, blah, blah.
And it's really offensive after a while because it's not that I don't eat, but I don't eat junk. So when you don't eat junk, and I'm not anorexic, but what happens is when you're not eating, and I've been the same weight for the last, 30 years, okay? 20, since I've known you, I've been this weight, so that's 20 years, and I was like this another 20 before. So I just don't eat junk, and I don't drink, and I don't do drugs, and so I'm healthy, and I walk a lot, and that's what I am. And so, it's not as though it's an eating disorder. It's just what I am. I've always been a size 0.
Although we did weigh the other day and you were down a little bit.
Well, that was from stress. Yes, I've been under a
Okay.
lot of stress. So when I'm under a lot of stress, my metabolism goes faster and I just eat whatever I eat just goes away.
Okay.
And so, but I've been
And
now eating more to gain back the 3 pounds that I lost.
I think you look great.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
And I
that.
think your weight is fine.
Well, but
You
I know when
do-
I'm down 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So if
you,
I'm down 3
you
pounds,
do,
for me, it's a
speaking of
lot.
weight, you hit the weights. You do
Well,
weights.
I work out 3 times a week, and every
with
single
weights.
day I either
Yeah.
run or I do the bike. But I also walk. Like today, I'll walk to Beverly Hills, and that's 3 miles. But I'm used to walking
And
because
back.
I lived in
Yeah.
back.
Right.
But I lived in New York City, and all you do is walk.
Power
Everybody
walk.
walks in New
Yep.
York City.
Agreed.
And so when I moved out here, it's just part of my life. I don't like not walking.
Yeah. The only thing I don't love about your regimen
Yeah.
is that you tend to wake up, you will have a protein shake in the morning.
I have a protein shake in the morning, and I'll have a protein bar, or else I have an English muffin. I'll have a shake, and I'll have an English muffin with either cottage cheese or almond butter on it. And then
Low fat cottage cheese, I
Yeah.
would think.
low fat cottage
Okay.
cheese. Well, I don't want to get cholesterol.
No, I understand.
I mean, when I go to the doctor, my doctor tells me that there's not one thing wrong with
That
my
is
blood
true.
work that
That is
comes
true.
back.
I've
He
seen
said,
it.
I wish I could find something wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with
Okay.
you. So
All good.
something is in,
Okay.
proof is in
The only thing
pudding.
I don't love about the way you attack your day
Yeah.
is you kind of build your food intake up through the day to where your crescendo is always at night when you eat, to my eye, a pretty big dinner.
But I
Like
have
that's
lunch,
your
but
biggest.
my lunch is like, my lunch can vary. My lunch can go from whether I'm in Beverly Hills and there's a yogurt thing called Go Greek, and I go there and I get a big yogurt with 100 different toppings on it, not junk. This is good stuff. I
Yeah.
get wheat germ and I get, raisins but no junk, and I walk back home. Or else if I'm here, I eat lunch around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sometimes 5 o'clock.
Sometimes 5 o'clock,
then
depending
at
on my day, and then I
8 or
eat.
9,
But I'm
she
a
eats a
late night
big
eater
dinner.
because I did in New York City my
Yeah.
whole life. I ate dinner every night at 9 o'clock,
Okay, all right.
and then I go to
got
bed
it.
by 11.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's working because you don't look too thin to me.
Well, I can only be who I am.
I mean,
and-
it concerned me a bit that your weight's down a bit.
well,
just
it
a
concerned
bit.
me too, but I've been now
Okay,
eating
but
more.
it's
But
fine.
when you lose 3 pounds, I'm not big.
Okay.
So, I mean, when I went to the doctor, he said to me, "Look, just add a couple more 3 pounds back, and you'll be fine."
Okay.
But
So the Karen Carpenter documentary did impact me. It shook me, jarred me. I lost some sleep over it because I have had issues for many
yeah,
years
you did.
with food, dating to, like to 1982 when I first started running. And what I learned was, in the beginning, the more I ran, the more I could eat. Well, that starts to,
That's a catch-22.
well, what it does is you start to go over the edge into what is called, to me, exercise bulimia. And remember, there's a little difference here, and I'm not a student of this or a doctor, but there's a difference between anorexia and bulimia. Bulimia is the one where you
Throwing
eat
up.
and
Purge,
eat, purge, binge purge.
Mm-hmm.
And what I started doing, because it worked, and I don't starve for perfection, I started to run for perfection
Well,
because
it becomes addicting.
because I wanted to stay the same weight
Yeah.
while eating whatever my heart desired. By the way, you're killing your heart, which I didn't understand at that point in the very beginning, where it was just so unhealthy because I was just pigging out while I trained
Well,
for
that's
marathons.
what people do as yo-yo dieting. They go up and they go down. They gouge themselves, then they cut back. And
Gorge,
Then they
yeah,
or whatever. But their heart, that's the problem.
You just can't take
No.
the beating of it. So what I was doing was, back in the day, as I was training for my first marathon, I would eat anything. I was big on Mexican food. My brother's a big Mexican cook, but I'm talking about Tex-Mex because those were my Dallas days. Ice cream. God, I binged on whatever I wanted to eat,
Well, 'cause you knew you were
hamburgers,
gonna
hot
run.
dogs, because I was running at one point, this was for my second marathon, I was averaging 120 miles a week. But I began to find that, oh, Hazel wants to see Mom
But
a
how
little bit.
many runners do you
Okay,
when you watch the marathon, the New York City Marathon, the Boston Marathon, everyone is super thin.
Okay,
they're really
because
thin.
you're just going to get thin running that much. But what you also learn is if you're going to eat that badly and pig that aggressively to where you're binge eating, you can't defeat it with miles run.
No.
That you're going to start to develop love handles in some spare tire around your waist, as I found that I was. My body fat was higher than it should have been because I was eating so badly while running, but my face got gaunt and thin, and friends would kid me about, you look like you've been in a concentration camp.
Well, because you always, when you lose weight, your cheekbones, you have high cheekbones,
high
they always
cheekbones,
get more
okay.
pronounced.
Okay, so I finally figured out, and my schedule changed too because I started doing early morning radio, and it sort of wiped out. I used to either, I would run an hour, and then I would also on top of that exercise bike for an extra hour, and it was strictly exercise bulimia because I felt like if I did 2 hours of cardio a day, I could eat whatever I wanted and I was not going to get fat. Then I started to get a little bit of fat and it shook me up. Then I started doing morning radio and it took me out of it. I actually, at one point, thanks to an old friend of mine, I went to counseling one time for this. Went to a guy, I won't say who it was, this was in Dallas at a center, who was a big workout guy. And he just chuckled at my workout regimen at that point, 2 hours of cardio. He says, I do the same thing. And I was like, I'm normal? And he said, you're pretty normal. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But only because he did it doesn't make it normal.
It didn't, but it made me feel better because at some point you feel like you can't keep robbing Peter to pay Paul.
No.
You're robbing to pay, robbing to pay, robbing to pay. And at some point your body starts to wear out with all the exercise. Then I got into weightlifting, which saved me because then I started to care about how my upper body looked as opposed to just how well I ran the marathon. And I did have one really fast, my second marathon was incredibly fast because it was well under 3. I was 2 hours and 47 minutes and 14 seconds, which got me into Boston. So I was achieving at a high rate. But then as my body began to break down from all the pounding, big back issues, some knee issues, that I finally said, this is suicidal pace that I'm on. So I got to cut back on my cardio to an hour a day, which I still observe. But I started lifting weights, which gave me the outlet to feel like I'm doing something. It's not burning as many calories, but you're still, you feel like you should eat better to feed your body correctly to make you look more like a stud in your upper body. Yeah, right?
I don't know.
Okay,
It's just very hard.
So the other day I weighed when you did, and I hate weighing because
You were down 5 pounds.
I know, but the scale is
The only one
such
who
a
was
liar.
up was Hazel.
I know. Okay, but I'm going to get there. But the scale is such a liar, especially for women,
don't
because
like
your water weight changes so
I don't
rapidly
ever get on a scale. I
that
know
it's going to lie to you because water weighs a lot.
The best way I have ever lived my life is my jeans. If I put on a pair of jeans, then I know they fit.
Yeah, that's
when
a
I
good
know
point.
that I lost weight, they're big. When I know that I gained weight, they're tight. Jeans
Okay.
are the best scale. A scale is terrible because also when you put on when you work out and you put on muscle, it shows up as a heavier weight, but you're not really weighing
Muscle weighs more than fat.
So
Yeah, but
I don't know. It's just crazy.
then I made the quote-unquote mistake. You did the scales because we were at the gym and there was
Well, it was a
some
scale, and I
scales.
just said, "Oh, I'm
They're
going to get on the
electronic,
scale."
and we thought, okay, well, it's got to be pretty accurate. It's not like
I don't know if
where you
it's
have to
that-
pull the weight
yeah.
across,
No, it's a digital.
and it's digital. And I jump on, and I'm down. I don't mind saying my optimal weight for me is 165. I like to stay right
Right,
there,
you were
and I was
158,
159.
59.
Yeah, 159. I was like, where did that come from? Because I'm now fighting. I got a bad knee issue right now,
Right.
and my fear is that it's going to shut me down where I can't do cardio and then I feel like I can't eat. Well, then I'm gonna go back into anorexia.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay, well that's just I've been doing this since 1982.
Well, that's why you can't.
So I
keep
still
doing it at
fight
that
some
pace to save
exercise
your
bulimia.
knees.
Well, that's true. And I got a hip issue that's bothering me. And you keep saying, go get it fixed, and I'm afraid at my age it's not fixable.
Well, you don't know that until you go to a
I've tried.
a different doctor. Yeah,
Okay.
but this is the whole thing. We could do a whole show on.
I mean,
all
my
that,
cartilage is just wearing out in my knee
Right.
because I've done so much cardio.
Right. So
And my hip condition is just from being a little out of balance, and I got a nerve that's being compressed up in my hip, and it just radiates pain down my leg.
right, but you have
But
to
I
get
manage.
somebody to see.
Do I not ice every single night?
But that's a Band-Aid. But anyway,
Okay,
we're
it's a
getting away
Band-Aid.
from Karen Carpenter.
No, but no, we're not.
Oh,
We're staying right on
okay.
what we're
All
talking
right.
about. This
Well.
is interesting because we're talking about how it impacts us. But then now to Hazel, so then we keep arguing about Hazel's weight because I'm fearful she has put on a
She's
little
not-
extra weight.
She's
I don't
solid
like
as
it
a-
because she gives her way too many treats.
Oh, please!
I
won't
give her
even
one little bone, and you
you-
give her 3 bones, and you give her these new
Are you-
Nulo things.
They're 2 calories. They're nothing. They're less than the big bones that she gets.
no.
But anyway, she runs around a lot and she has a lot of muscle. So
She is
when
incredibly
we weighed her, she's
strong, tight.
She's normally 8 pounds.
I don't know where 8 pounds came from because
I think she was 8 pounds for years.
I know, but I kept telling you she's at least 10. So we weighed her
So we
by
both weighed her
by holding her in our hands.
And then we had to
while
deduct our
yeah,
weight
deduct.
from Hazel, and it turned
And-
out Hazel was the only one who gained weight.
She's 11 and a half pounds.
She says, "That's okay.
And
I'm
Mom,
solid."
who picked her out,
I'm
thought she was
solid.
a teacup
She,
puppy.
Yeah, well,
that she was going
a
to
big teacup, like
she
the
could
ones
just
that
carry
they have
around
at
in
the
her
fairs
purse.
where they
Yeah.
sit in them.
Yeah.
She's like a teacup like that.
Yeah, she's getting.
She says,
sleepy.
"That's
You getting tired
okay.
of this? That's okay.
I'm 11 pounds. I don't care."
Yeah, she doesn't care because
She says, "I look
she's
good in
a
a bikini."
warrior princess. She is an athlete.
Yeah, she's fine.
All right,
You look good.
enough about
So anyway,
our
watch the documentary.
problems with food, our battles,
Yeah.
our love-hate with food. Let's go to the lighter side because over the 4th of July, because there are all these marathons on TV, I don't know how we got on this. I just happened to turn on TV and was skimming, searching, and we landed on a show that we first discovered on vacation in Palm
Yeah.
Springs when we didn't have anything to watch because when you're
We didn't have a cable.
you don't
There
have a
was no
cable.
in
You know, you can buy
back
movies,
then.
but you land on something, whatever superstation it is,
Yeah.
and you say, "Oh, it's a marathon of
the Big
Big Bang Theory."
I love that show.
And we started watching Big Bangs the other night, and we couldn't stop. And I would have guessed just at a glance that I wouldn't have ever liked the show,
yeah.
but it's so well written.
Oh, it's great.
And it's so clever, and every plot is so captivating.
So they had the 4th of July marathon.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
back
So,
to back.
so we just kept watching. It was kind of late in the show's
Yeah.
run that we were
Yeah.
watching. But if you don't know it, it's Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik, and they're a couple. They're engaged at the point of we
Yeah.
were watching. Kaylee Cuoco is the hot girl, which you need
Yeah.
one hot girl in the
Yeah,
mix.
yeah.
And then Melissa Rauch, I don't know why she uses that high squeaky voice because now she has a new hit show where she's the judge. Night Court.
think
I
it got
haven't watched
canceled,
it, but
she
did
has
it?
a regular
Okay.
voice. Yeah.
She has a regular voice. I don't know why she had to go mousy squeak in this, but she did.
But
It's a little
funny.
irritating. And Johnny Galecki, who
great.
was all the way back to the
Griswolds.
Griswolds, and Simon Helberg and Kunal Nayyar. They're perfectly cast.
Oh, it's
They
great.
all fit. They all work. And some of the lines are a little forced, but it's funny,
fun.
and it makes her laugh
I
out
laugh.
loud.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
literally, I don't think I've ever seen a show that makes you just sit next to me and you're just
so
laughing,
Funny. The writing is
You're
so great.
hoo-haing. You're
Yeah,
just
it's great. I
laugh
think.
out loud.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'm like, well, it's not that funny, but
Oh,
some of it makes
is.
me
It
laugh.
is funny. Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik, I
Yeah.
think, takes those two are the best out of the whole show.
Yeah. So we highly recommend the reruns
Yeah.
of Big Bang because they just work. This is just me. It's in the Friends category. It's way better than Friends.
Oh.
It's way funnier and
No, well, more it's
and
better
more
written
intriguing and interesting.
and smart.
Yeah, and smart. It's just
Yeah.
smarter. And now we come full circle while we're on the couch here. We go to the movies on the couch. We we had a question a couple shows back about did we go see Ballerina, the latest John Wick spinoff. We ended up not going to see it in the movies. I knew it was going to hit Amazon quickly,
Right.
and we bought it for
$19.99.
Okay.
I didn't think it was worth
And
$19.99.
I hesitated. I was fearful because we were such a Wick fan, but our interest in John Wick, our lovability factor, it just went from number 1, and it slowly slid into the sunset as you go down through 4.
Yeah.
And now we got a spinoff in Ballerina, and it's Ana de Armas who plays the lead. And we did have another spinoff going back, God, what is it, 10 years ago now? We had Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron.
That was great.
And
it
was right up there with the first John Wick.
Oh,
I could watch it
kick-ass.
tonight.
Yeah,
you want to talk about kick-ass.
She was really good.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the difference in Charlize, who is going sleeveless through much of the movie of Atomic Blonde, because she's ripped.
Yeah,
and
she's kick your ass.
When she kicks somebody's ass, you could see she was doing a lot of her own
stunts.
Her
with a shoe.
Yeah.
Remember the red shoe, high heel.
A high heel.
In the car.
Kill him with a high heel. We got to watch it tonight.
I'd watch it again.
All right.
I love that movie.
Because you have to believe that she can do that. And with Ana de Armas, I never believed she could do any of that.
It was terrible.
There's kind of an oxymoron of a ballerina who can be a badass, because you have to be, speaking of thin, you have to be so thin and willowy and wispy to be a ballerina that it sort of defeats the notion of MMA. So with Anna playing this lead character, she's covered up the whole movie. And not that I care about seeing her skin, but she is literally head to toe.
I don't think she could take anybody.
But she's covered because she didn't have any body to show. She has no definition.
The best part about it for me was Ian McShane, who I love.
Okay, well, he's back
in
as
it, but
that
he
guy.
was in it for 2 minutes, and
head
Keanu
of the
Reeves
hotel.
was not even. He wasn't even good in it. I mean, I don't even know why they had to have him in there, because it was
It's not a spoiler, but he is sent to eliminate her in the end.
It's not. And Angelica Houston.
And by the way, Keanu looks weird now. Like, did he have face work?
I don't know. It just didn't.
His
it
face
looked like
looked
he was
leaner.
almost. It was like
maybe he's got eating issues. I don't know.
It looked like he was created. What do they call that?
Yeah,
when
maybe.
They do
I know. Maybe it's CGI.
CGI.
Yeah.
It just was so weird.
Maybe it
I don't
wasn't.
even think
I
they
don't
were
know.
in the same scene together. It was weird. I would not spend $20.
The baddies
for it.
are Angelica Houston versus Gabriel Byrne.
I love Gabriel Byrne, and I love Angelica Houston.
Here was my reaction as a Wick fan, opposite of yours.
Yeah.
It was very inventive and creative. All the fight scenes were worthy of Wick.
Incredible, because they
But-
had the same choreographer.
But she's in the middle of it, and you're just looking away,
not
saying she
kick-ass.
can't do that. I can't
who
buy
was more
it.
kick-ass than her? In whatchamacallit, with the was part 1, the girl with Let Me In. What's her?
God.
What was the
I can't think of
movie
her
that
name.
we
I
watched?
told you got to look these
Oh
things
well,
up if you're going to
it
bring
just
it up.
came to my mind. What the
Okay,
heck was
I
that
can't
movie?
think of her name.
It was the kick girl.
Oh, Kick-Ass. She played
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass. No, she
She
pulled
was
it off.
Kick-Ass.
She did, and there was
Oh
a
my
Kick-Ass
God, and
too.
there was Kick-Ass 2, which
I
was
can't
just
think of
as
her name.
good.
Sorry,
You
but she was
know,
the best.
Chloe,
in Let Me In.
Chloe,
Grace Moretz.
Yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Okay.
She was Kick-Ass.
Okay, and then we have in the latest installment of Jurassic Park. We have not seen it yet,
No.
but I just see the
I think
previews.
Tyler must have seen it.
And Scarlett, she looks, because she's sleeveless. She looks like she
Yeah.
could whip a dinosaur's ass, and
Yeah.
I buy her because she has.
She's got a toughness.
She
to her.
has a style to her. She has a swagger
She
to
was
her.
in those other movies, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
whatever.
she was. We didn't see it, but the point is,
think I did see
you have to have somebody who can carry it to where she's fighting for like 3/4 of the movie, and she's fighting different ways. She's fighting with a samurai sword. Sometimes she's with guns. Sometimes she's with knives. Sometimes she's with her shoe. Okay.
You know who was good, and I can't remember her name, but she's married to
Great. Here we go
to
again.
John Bon Jovi's son. When she slayed that dragon, remember we watched that movie where
Yeah,
she was
that's
the.
good.
That was great. She was killing the dragon. Remember
Okay.
at the end, she killed the dragon.
All right, we got to
remember
get
the
to your
name of the movie.
questions. This is Louison from Cameroon.
Wow.
Long ways. We're in LA. What do men and women value more in a relationship? Well, that's about as deep as you can get, Louison.
Huh.
Okay.
To me,
Yep.
I think loyalty.
Agreed.
And also, I guess commitment and loyalty is the same thing. Commitment, loyalty, and just knowing somebody is there.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Okay. I agree, but it took me a long time to get there because in my 20s, I thought it was just all about sexual attraction. I thought that was all that mattered in a relationship was, do you think she's hot? Well, what you find over time is that won't last. I don't care how hot you think you are for her or vice versa. It just won't last that way, that early sort of, as they say, the honeymoon sort of phase. Not that you're actually married, but the honeymoon part of the attraction, it's going to fade away.
Listen, I was in fashion for a long time, and I've dated a bunch of very well-known male models that were on billboards all over New York City for major department stores. And after a while, how they look did not really, it didn't live up to being in a relationship with them. Because one was egotistical and just self-centered, and one was a player and whatever. So I don't think it matters if you're attracted to somebody, but no, it matters if you're attracted to somebody or not. But I think you have to have somebody that, if something happens, they're going to be there for you.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
So as cliched as this sounds, in the end, what should matter most is the ability to spend time together is essential. And we occasionally go out with couples who are like serial couples night couples where they just book every single Friday and Saturday has to be booked with another couple or multiple couples. And after a while we conclude, well, they just can't spend any time alone together because they just don't have much in common. So when you're with another couple, then you end up talking to the woman, I end up talking to the guy. Sometimes there's crosstalk, but in the main, you don't have to communicate directly with your spouse or significant. So that's number one in my book. And then what you mentioned, dependability and loyalty. If you're going to literally live together in a relationship, you better be able to depend on, count on, and trust the human inside inside the body.
Why are you living
right?
with them? Yeah.
You better know that and believe that. You better know it to the core, because life will happen, stuff will happen, and you will get tested, and at some point that will get revealed that you can't trust the other party if you don't know that from the start.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, quick aside, Ernestine and I, speaking of eating, we both pretty much, we live on protein bars. We depend on protein bars.
I like them. It's not the only thing I eat. But
yeah, but
I have one in the morning.
I'm all about small meals.
You eat more protein bars than I do.
I do, but you've,
I
even
always
when
have
I'm desperate, I can just turn to you and say, do you have a protein bar? You
I
always
always
have a
carry
couple in
bars
your
in my
purse.
bag, because especially when I'm walking, and if I get hungry, I just eat the bar. But I don't eat anything with, high fat, high sugar, and that's why we ended up liking these David's bars.
David. It's just David bars, and I take, I don't know,
David.
4 or 5 of them every time I play golf.
You do.
We do know what we're talking about when it comes to protein bars, because we've studied them for many years.
I've tried a million protein bars.
And I have been...
Some of them are like candy bars.
Some of them are like candy bars, and David bars to me are, and I have been stunned
they're really good.
by how they taste. But the essential for me is, among protein bars, they're at the top of the list in protein.
Yeah, they have high protein and low sugar.
Low sugar, high protein, low sugar. I am obsessed with all the protein I can get. So I feel very comfortable eating a David bar, because I know I'm getting my fill of protein.
Which you don't do, I put them in the refrigerator, and then I eat them. I take especially the blueberry, and when you take the blueberry out, it tastes like ice cream. It's
Wow.
really good.
Haven't tried
And
that.
then I put almond butter on it.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really good.
Okay, so you got blueberry, you got chocolate fudge, you got
That's
peanut
good.
butter.
I like that. I like the chocolate fudge, and I love there's a chocolate chip too. I like the chocolate
To me,
chip.
they are as good as candy bars.
they're really
And
good.
by the way, does David ever have a deal for you out there, our viewers, our listeners? You can buy 4 cartons and get the 5th for free.
That's really good.
If you do this, you got to go to David Protein, all one word, .com, davidprotein.com / my first name Skip, davidprotein.com / SKIP, and you can get your 5th carton free.
That's really good because
that works.
If you can get a carton free, they're usually like around $24.99, something like that. So you're getting, it's really good. But I just keep them in the
So humans aren't
refrigerator.
perfect, but David is. Way to go.
The bar is.
All right, back to the questions, back to the phones, as they say in talk radio. This is Sarah from Lawrence, Kansas, home of Kansas University. I've been dating a girl for a while now, and we haven't yet had our are we boyfriend or girlfriend conversation or discussion. How long into a relationship should you have that type of conversation? Are we a thing?
Right.
Your answer is?
I think you have to feel it out, and you just have to see how it's going. And if this person if they disappear, if you talk to them and then you go out with them and then somehow they disappear for another week or 2 and then you don't hear from them, most likely they're dating other people. And then if they think that, but if they act as though you're the only one, then I would bring up, what are we doing? It's like my sister went out with this guy she met on Match.com.
Yeah.
And they went out for like 3 dates.
Yeah.
And she wasn't seeing anybody else, and he was seeing her. They went out a couple of times a week, and then finally they were having dinner, and he said, so have you been seeing other people? Have you met other people on Match? And she said, no, I haven't been seeing anybody. I've just been seeing you. He said, oh, well, I'm seeing a lot of other women. I was like, okay, well, thank you very much.
You know where you stand.
That was the end of him. So I think you just have to play it and see if somebody is saying to you, hey, like when you and I started going out, you said to me, oh, if we don't spend every waking minute for the next week, because that's the only time I have.
Okay, I just had off.
Right,
And I was
1 week
working
off,
like
and
2 jobs
and
at
then
once at ESPN.
We started seeing each other every day, every night, whatever it was. But if somebody is MIA, then I think they're seeing other people. And then you have to ask them, what are we doing?
Okay, so Sarah.
That's what I think.
This is my simplistic answer to this, is that, not to comment or judge your relationship, but the truth is that conversation becomes unnecessary and irrelevant. If it's working, it just works, where you just know after a couple of months, I don't know.
If you get that far, I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, but you'll just...
If it keeps going, then you know that there's something going on, that you're seeing that person
I think back
often.
through all my relationships, and you just knew. You just knew this was hot, this was happening, this was a thing. And you knew it from the start. And I never did have that conversation with anybody that I can remember.
I'm still wondering, what are we doing?
Oh, you're wondering.
I'm wondering, are we in a relationship?
Am I seeing anybody else?
Yeah, are you seeing anybody else?
When would I have time?
My sister, though, get 4 dates, and she thought maybe, you're seeing somebody, but sometimes you have to bring up the question.
Hey,
so I say, if they disappear, then you have to say what's going on.
Yeah. Well, duh. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. This is her pet topic because she is obsessed with this.
No, I'm not obsessed.
Labubus.
No, I don't know if anybody else. I know I'm probably late to the party here.
You're a little late.
My hair stylist, wonderful extraordinaire that he is, his name is Danish, and he's a wonderful guy. And we started talking about this because a lot of his clients come in and he has them. They have these little, I wish I had one, but I couldn't get one because you can't get them. They're like little, they attach them to handbags. And so I don't know if all over the country and world, if
they're
this is
part of the Monster series from Pop Marts.
So Pop Mart
and
has
there's
the
a big
exclusive.
Pop Mart in the Century City Mall where we take her on Sunday.
I was talking to Danish one day, and I said to him, he said, oh, I just got the Labubu. I said, Labubu? And Joy, my sister, told me in her office, all these girls have these hanging from their bags. And I'm like, what's that? And she said, I don't know. They have them all hanging. So I asked Danish, and Danish started telling me because he's been traveling all over the world. He's worked on everybody's hair in the world. And he said, oh, they're really hard to get. They're limited. And now all these celebrities started doing it. So now David Beckham has, Tom Brady has. It's guys and girls.
Kim Kardashian,
right? Kim Kardashian, well, she's the
Rihanna,
least of
Dua
it, but
Lipa,
yeah, everybody.
Cher.
Emma Roberts collects
Yeah.
them. So it's this phenomenon, and I don't know if it's hit everywhere else. LA, we sat in the mall, and I told Skip about it. And I said, let's count. Let's see how many people have it. It's like, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. So it's Danish's birthday, and I thought, oh, I'm going to surprise him by getting him another one because you have to collect them. But they come in a blind package, so you don't know which one you're getting. And he said, oh, you have to get the keychain kind because that's the kind you hang on the bag. But the weird thing is they're hanging it on bags that are $12,000 bags, Louis Vuitton, you know, Hermes, and Cher had it on her bag. So I would never put something like that on my really expensive bags, but these people are. So I went to the Pop Mart and I walked in because I had not been there before. And there's 1,000 people in the store, and I walk over to the girl and I said, oh, my friend's daughter wants a Labubu, and she kind of laughed. She's like, no, we don't sell them in the store. You have to go online or download the app. I said, really? She said, oh, no. And then you buy them, and then we alert you.
How much are they? The
They're
little
cheap.
ones?
They're like $45.
Okay.
But some of them that are they're exclusive, they're $200, $300. And so I told him, I tried to get you one, so he was laughing. But he already...
And when they come in, you have to run
You have
to
to
the
run.
store?
They give you an alert, and if you don't, and you pay for it. But if you don't show up in time, I guess they credit you back and they give it to somebody else. It's insane. So he was telling me that the guy who created it is now a billionaire, has made all his money
China.
on this Pop Mart exclusive in China. I don't know. Does
youngest
anybody
billionaire
else
in
see this
China.
all over the country?
Wow.
I wonder if other places
Supposedly
in the
it
country.
started when a K-pop star,
Yeah.
Lisa from Blackpink,
Yeah.
this is early 2024, chose to wear one,
Yeah.
and
It just took
the
off from
craze
there. So I said to him, hey,
started.
do you know what Beanie Babies are? Because Beanie Babies were the same thing. And then before Beanie Babies, there were the Cabbage Patch dolls. And then Beanie Babies, I just bought one for a friend in Rite Aid for $4.99. So I said to him, eventually they're going to be in Rite Aid.
And back in my day, which is a long time ago, we gave each other troll dolls.
Oh, I love troll
Little
dolls. Are
troll
still
dolls
around.
with wild hair.
They
and
used to be called Wishnik dolls
Okay,
too.
all
They had the
right.
hair
And
that stuck up.
they're not all that different from
No.
Labubus.
But
seriously.
to me, a Labubu face looks exactly like Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things
yeah,
Are.
okay.
I think he ripped off that.
Maybe.
I think he ripped off
I
that
don't
character.
think he ripped it off.
But they're
Let's
so.
not accuse him of that. But
Well, I don't know, but they look exactly like
borrowed.
that. Yeah, he borrowed. But they're ugly, and that's what makes them cute. So I think he should partner with Lady Gaga because her fans are monsters.
Okay.
I think that's a great.
Okay,
partnership.
that works. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he needs no partnerships
No,
right
he doesn't.
now.
He'll
They're
come
in
up with
such
something
demand,
else.
but just give it 6 months and let's
They'll
see
be in
where
Rite
they are.
Aid.
They'll be
Oh.
in Rite Aid for $5.
Right, $5.
Right? Okay, this is Megan from Tallahassee. You both are very open with your relationships with your siblings. How different do each of you think it would be if the relationships were reversed, where Skip, you were the one very close with your brother and sister, and Ernestine, you weren't close with your sister or let's say your mother? Okay, then what would be our dynamic? How much would it change?
I think you are not as forceful as I am with telling you. I always say to you, why don't you call your brother?
Yeah.
Why didn't you call your sister? I don't think you would do that with me. You would be like, well, whatever you think you want to do. You would be like, well, live and let live. I am more, my Jewish motherness is more about that than you.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Look, I'm, as you know, considering writing a book about this, but
Right.
from the very beginning, from the time you can walk at age 2-ish, I guess, life becomes about choices. You're making choices. I'm going to take a drink of this right now, which is not that great for
Well, you
me.
made a choice that you're going to drink then.
But I'm a little parched, so I'm going to take a drink.
Okay.
Okay, so you keep making these choices, but there's one huge choice none of us gets to make. From the very start, you can't choose the portal through which you enter this realm.
Well, you can't choose. The old adage is you can't choose. You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
Okay.
That's
Well, you
basically
can't.
it.
So you can't pick your genetics, what tools you're brought into,
No.
and you can't choose the portal through which your mother allows you to enter into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And your circumstance is your circumstance. And I got thrown into one that I was very lucky to survive.
Right.
But the stress of it, the hell of it was so bad that it wrecked my relationship with my siblings. Well, I can't change
But
it.
everybody has that.
Yeah, but
I've
this
got
was
that. But
this was worse.
Yeah.
This was okay. So I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how. I can't undo it.
right.
And so, like everything else, I survived a hellish existence
Right.
in my first 20-ish years, and it actually made me exactly who I am. So if we turn the tables, yeah, I would be, it was what it was.
Right.
And it made you exactly
That's
who you are. And,
I'm not that way.
okay, but you hate the word chose, but I had to make a choice to be with you, and I would choose you. You are that makeup. You are
Yeah.
the way you were raised. You are your mother. Whether
Yeah.
you're more your mother than a lot of people I know. You are Evelyn
Right.
Jacobs.
Right.
That's who you are. At your heart of
Yep.
hearts, you're sort of the spitting image.
Mhm.
You have a lot of your mother's charisma, style, and toughness.
Right.
Okay? So it made you what I chose, and you hate the word
But
chose,
I
but
would be the one saying to you,
yeah.
I have been. I'm the one that said to you, why don't you call your
Okay,
sister?
all
Why don't
right.
you call your brother?
And I kept
But
trying to
you wouldn't do
explain,
that
I don't know
with
where to go with
Right,
it.
but if the roles were reversed,
Yeah,
you wouldn't say
I
to me, why
wouldn't.
don't you call your brother? Why don't you call your
I
sister?
would not.
So we're not the same.
Yeah, but I wish
That's
this
okay.
were true. Megan, I wish, my problem in my relationships with females was I kept trying to make them my sister.
Right.
I didn't have a
Big
sister.
mistake.
I
as
wanted
Julia
a
Roberts
sister.
said in
Yeah, it's
Pretty
a
Woman.
big mistake.
Big
Okay.
mistake.
All right. Okay, so
Big mistake.
next question. This is Omar from Newport, Rhode Island, not Newport Beach,
No.
California, Newport, Rhode Island. Okay, Joey Chestnut, speaking of eating,
Yeah.
just ate 72 hot dogs. I don't get it. I don't know.
I
I've
don't like hot
interviewed
dogs to
Joey
begin with.
Chestnut
Yeah,
before.
he used to be on your show.
Yeah, he was a couple times. Okay, if there was one food you needed to eat a ton of in one sitting, like in a contest, what would it be? Speaking of our issues with food.
That's easy for me.
Okay.
I love Kit Kats and I love Reese's peanut butter cups.
What?
It would be Reese's peanut butter cups.
Well, okay, but speaking of vomiting,
I wouldn't have to douse them in water. I would just eat them.
Okay, all right. He does douse the hot dogs in water because they'll go
They
down.
go down and then he throws them up.
Okay, nobody knows that, but those guys, trust me, as soon as they do a quick celebration, they go out behind the big grandstand and they just vomit because your stomach can't
Forget
take
it.
the
I can't throw
pounding
up.
of
I would be like
72
stuck
hot
with
dogs.
them in my stomach.
You just have to throw it up. And how his stomach lining stays intact, I don't know. After all these years, Joey Chestnut, God bless you, man.
Yeah.
He is a competitive eater, and it takes literal guts to do that because I think you have to have high pain
I don't know
threshold.
what his stomach is like. But anyway, I would do.
Okay,
I would do.
okay, here's the
Reese's
problem with
peanut butter
Reese's
cups.
peanut
What?
butter cups. They're so sweet and rich. You'd eat 5 of them and you would vomit.
I don't know. I could
You
maybe
would.
eat more
Okay,
than 5.
so
And then my second choice.
Remember, wait a second. The time limit for the competitive
10
eating
minutes.
is 10 minutes. So you have to eat whatever it is you're choosing to eat. You have to eat it for 10 straight minutes as fast as you could eat it.
Yeah.
Well, trust me.
You'd probably eat 20.
Okay, but after 3 minutes, if you really power force them down your throat, you just vomit.
Well, I'd probably be eating
It's
it like
too
the
much
way
sugar.
I used to eat it. Like I would take a bite and look at it, and then take the bottom.
Okay, well, you'd
part
lose the
up.
contest
Right, I know.
because the clock
But
is
my other
ticking.
choice, maybe it's a better choice. My other choice would be Suzy Q's. I love Suzy Q's. Oh, I haven't had one in a
Okay,
thousand
so there's
years,
no
but
sugar involved. Maybe there's
Suzy
some.
Q's? They're the devil dog with the
Oh,
cream
I
inside.
thought it was the I was thinking it was
No.
the onion ring things.
No, God, no.
The fried.
Susie Q's, remember Susie Q's?
I don't know 'em.
You
I
didn't
don't
have
know. I
you
didn't have Suzy
Hostess or
Q's.
Drake's.
We
in
had
Oklahoma.
Hostess.
Oh,
We
then
had
you didn't have
Hostess
Drake's.
cupcakes.
Maybe they were Drake's. I don't know if they were.
Twinkies.
They were a devil. They were like a
Okay.
devil dog, but I'm sure people know what Suzy
right.
Q's are. They still sell them. They're made by the same company as Snowballs. You know
Okay.
Snowballs, right? But the
I know
Suzy Q's
Snowballs.
have the cream in the middle and the devil food cake. Oh,
It
God.
would be throw up city.
Well, they're going to throw them up anyway. All right, what would you do? You're going to eat what? Don't tell me you're going to eat David bars.
That's not a bad idea.
Oh, God, please.
But look, the one thing I could stomach, but I wouldn't know how you could do it by unit because it's not.
Yeah.
A,
Stackable?
No, it's the blandest food I could think of that I actually like the taste of is brown rice.
Oh my God.
Okay, but I could eat for 10 minutes. I could gorge on
Bring
brown
in
rice, and I wouldn't vomit. I wouldn't
Bring
vomit.
in that kettle of brown rice.
Okay, but I don't know how you would score me because
you'd have to do it by the cup.
Yeah, I guess you could do
cup
it by
of brown rice. Cup, 1 cup, 2 cup. He's now up to 45 cups of rice.
God.
I don't know. You'd be going to the bathroom forever with brown rice.
But I think I could not throw up for 10 minutes if I just gorged on brown rice. Well, I'm trying to think of something that my stomach could cope with.
Oh.
Could handle.
Well, I think you're thinking too much.
I always
what
do.
if you didn't think? If you didn't have to think about it, what
You
would
mean
you
what?
do?
Eat your favorite food?
Yeah.
I don't think Joey Chestnut likes hot dogs. It's not his favorite.
Well, okay. Well, what would be a food that it's not like you're thinking rational? What kind of candy do you like?
Well, you know, I don't like candy.
When you used to like David's cookies.
Oh, reminds me of my Mrs. Fields.
Right.
See, that's a good story. Just quickly. So the day I ran the Boston Marathon, speaking of marathons, I caught a hot day. I had an issue with my calf muscle. It was terrible. But I caught a 78-degree day in early April in Boston. It's way too hot to be doing this. So you go through Heartbreak Hill, which is actually 3 hills, and that's the 20-mile mark. And I'm just, it's a death march for me. Right. And I'm barely making it to Boylston to the finish line. And it was just about pain tolerance.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fun experience. It wasn't happy. I didn't walk, and I did finish.
Okay, so you finished the race.
I wanted to run under 3 hours, and I think I was 3:01 or something.
Okay.
But then they give you, because the starting line is so packed that the gun goes off, and you end up waiting 2 or 3 minutes before you can even move forward. And so they said you give yourself 2 minutes, whatever. But my actual time was 3:01. Okay.
So then you're finished.
Okay, I'm finished. I'm wiped out. My friend Craig is there to sort of help me through the race, and he's trying to meet me at the finish line, which is hard to find, but I found him.
Right.
And I'm hurting so badly. I'm actually drinking Coke, like Coca-Cola, like a real Coke, which I would never drink.
Right.
Just I want some good taste in my mouth. And so we had to walk back to the hotel, which was like 2 miles away because the whole downtown is just shut down. You can't get a cab or anything. So we're walking, and I spy a Mrs. Fields cookies. This is back in the days that I just ate any and everything. This was 85.
Yeah.
I think it was 85. And I said, hang on one second. I said, I had to borrow the money because I didn't have my wallet. And I went in. I bought a dozen Mrs. Fields macadamia nut.
Oh my God.
Chocolate chip macadamia.
Those are like
nut.
pure butter.
I think it was pure butter.
Oh my God.
So we're walking. We got 2 miles to walk, and I eat one, and I eat another one, and then I just keep eating. And I think, you know what? I'm so hungry. Hell with it. I'm just going to eat all these. So I ate on the walk back to the hotel on an empty stomach with just some Coca-Cola. This is insane. I ate 12 straight chocolate chip macadamia nut Mrs. Fields cookies.
Oh no.
And we got to the hotel, and they had a giant potted tree out in front with a giant pot. And I said, hang on one second. And with the doorman watching me, I did a Joey Chestnut. I walked straight over to the giant pot, and I leaned over and barfed it all up.
That's terrible.
And I didn't barf because I couldn't stand the thought that I ate all that. I wasn't trying to
your stomach.
cleanse, binge, purge. I wasn't trying to purge. I just vomited.
Sick. Oh,
Okay,
it's
so that's what would happen. Okay,
Okay.
enough of that.
That's all.
All right, this is Alex from Harlem, New York.
Oh,
Because
Harlem, way
Puff
to
Daddy
go.
was acquitted on the more serious charges, how much of an impact will his case have on his legacy? It's a good question, Alex.
I think he will always remain, for some people, iconic. I don't think it will take
Yeah,
anything away
agreed.
from who he was and still is.
Over time, it won't.
No, it will be okay.
Okay, and he does live in a realm of entertainment, hip hop, where sometimes any issues with the law become badges of honor. It's like street cred,
so
so to
much.
speak. It's part and parcel of who you are,
Or the world that
and
you
your
live in.
mystique is actually enhanced by the issues. And I'm not defending the issues at all. I'm just telling you that even I think of Kobe Bryant. He was, remember early on with the Lakers, he was drafted. He was 18 years of age. And he had a hard time getting a shoe deal. He had a little shoe deal with Adidas, and then Eagle, Colorado happened. Again, not defending any part of it, but you know the details, I'm sure. And all of a sudden, it gave him, because he was the rich kid from the Philadelphia main line, from the suburbs of Philadelphia, whose father had played, and he grew up with money, privileged, you know, private school kid. Lived in Italy for a while, spoke Italian, and all of a sudden he had street cred because of Eagle, Colorado. And the next thing I know, he's got a monster Nike shoe deal.
Wow.
Okay, so
I think his legend will continue on as, iconic.
yeah, but this is just me, and I know a lot of these people. They're not role models to me. I never hold
I don't
them
think any.
in the highest regard as somebody that I would say modeled your life after,
No,
right?
they just become iconic for who they are and what they did. Not what they did.
Yeah.
Prior, what they did.
Yeah. Okay, next question is Clancy from Toronto, as in Canada.
I love Toronto.
One of my favorite dating shows, The Ultimatum, is back on Netflix. Would you ever do a trial marriage/relationship with a different person as a way to see if the person you're actually dating is the right partner for you?
I guess it depends on
the operative word there is dating. So if you're in a dating situation,
if you're not dating that long,
yeah,
I guess it would be okay to just. They had that. What was that other show? My sister used to watch that show where they would trade spouses.
Yeah.
And they would spend a week with somebody else. I don't know. I guess it depends on how deep you're in that relationship, whether you want to go try it with somebody else.
I wouldn't recommend it for married couples at all, because if you get that far, then
I'm gonna just go hang with somebody else for a couple of weeks now.
Come back. Come back. She's getting bored with our discussions about this. She says,
That's what I think.
She says, I don't have a boyfriend anyway, because
she's true to her school.
She doesn't have her equipment.
Well, that's
anymore,
okay.
Right?
She could still like boys.
Okay. This is Mary from London.
Love London.
A lot of bands have been announcing reunion tours. Which band do you want to reunite? Well, it seems like they all do, for here and there, for a spot concert or an album or something, right? They just all do.
We'd have to go.
Do you have one?
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, wow.
Right? Led Zeppelin.
I'll buy that.
I got a bunch.
Wow.
I got Bon Jovi, because they're not really together anymore, but they were an incredible band. My heart belongs to Steve Perry, so I'd have to say Journey, because that Journey that is now with Arnell, who's been around forever with them, is not Steve Perry.
Okay.
Okay. I got two more. Fleetwood Mac, but you'd need Lindsey Buckingham, because Lindsey Buckingham was the voice besides Stevie Nicks, and of course
Is his health okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, and Christine
that's a
McVie
good one.
is no
That's
longer.
a very good one.
Christine McVie is no longer, and then I always used to like REM and Michael Stipe, and I just thought they were a great band. And
that's a good one.
Yeah,
wow,
they're
you
iconic.
Crushed me on this.
Yeah, I did my homework. You see.
Whew. Wow, I'm nuked on this one. We did see a reunion. This is back in the day. It's been 12 years ago. The Rascals from the 60s. They were the Young Rascals. They're so good. Felix Cavalier. Eddie
Incredible.
Brigatti, but they did Broadway
Yeah, that
shows
was
together.
amazing. Stevie Van Zandt
And we went
produced
twice. Yeah, and
I
it
wished
was
I went
so
5
good.
days.
But they just don't like each other, and they're getting up into their 80s.
Oh, now the drummer passed.
And the
so.
drummer passed.
But
But
they
that
were
that
one
was
of the
one where I
best.
just said that worked, and we paid twice for
Yeah.
it, and it was
I
as good as it
They
gets.
played 1 week. We should have gone every
I know
night.
we should
but
have gone every night because they were that
That
good.
was
They were
incredible.
that tight and
Yeah.
that right.
Yeah, it
But
was great.
to me, as crazy as it sounds, I was always a huge fan of the Go-Go's.
Love the
We told
Go-Go's.
some friends of ours the other night about I went during the 1984 Olympics out here in LA. They played at the Hollywood Bowl, and I went.
Wow, that was great.
And it was as good a live concert as I have ever seen. You can laugh if you want, but
the Go-Go's are incredible. You're talking
those
about they were one
girls
of the
could
first
go.
female rock bands.
Oh, they were rock and roll.
Belinda
And
Carlisle.
they've
the whole
tried
band.
little
Yeah,
reuniting.
she's actually in the Karen Carpenter.
Oh yeah, she
documentary.
speaks a lot about Karen
Belinda
Carpenter.
Carlisle.
That's a good one. Yeah, very good. Okay, that would be my one.
That was good.
Okay, this is a good and bad for you. This is from Lisa Mike's 6077 on YouTube. Okay, Ernestine, I'm usually on your side for most things, but I can't believe you let Skip talk about his glorious wedding to his first wife as long as you did. And I had never heard of Anna Wintour.
Oh, we got a double whammy. Okay.
Or what she did until you mentioned her. Okay,
Well,
so it's like a good and a
okay.
bad. I told you nobody knows
I would
who
say the Anna Wintour.
is. And this
she
is, by the
should
way, this is
definitely-
signed 50s female from
Oh,
Dallas,
you
Texas.
should definitely look up Anna Wintour, her Wikipedia, and there are documentaries on her. But she's amazing, and they're doing another Devil Wears Prada, which was based on Anna Wintour. So the first one you should watch, which Meryl Streep played her, and I could care less about him talking about his wedding. She's a loser anyway, and so his wedding was a loser too. So I could care less. He could just talk all he wants about
She
it.
was not a loser.
Oh, she is a loser, but that's okay. She's in Loserville.
No.
Anyway, but it doesn't bother me. I just I tune it out.
I wouldn't
And if
be
he wants
here
to go back
without
with her, he should go back with her.
I
And then he
don't
could
wanna
go
go
live in
back with her.
Loserville with her. Go live with Liz in Loserville.
I was making the point that, yeah, we did throw a big bash, like it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because the point I was making was weddings blow marriages. Weddings blow up marriages.
Yeah, I think your marriage would have been blown with or without that wedding. So I don't think you need to
probably
worry
right.
about that.
Okay. I'll let her have
Yeah.
that. Okay, that's fine.
No good.
All right.
But thank you. I appreciate it.
We are winding down here, but we got Christopher from Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
This is a deeper question. President Trump announced that UFC fight will be held at the White House.
Yeah. Welcome to the world.
The conversation of politics and sports has been long-standing since athletes started to speak out about political, social issues, LeBron rightfully leading the charge. Do you think athletes should speak out regarding such issues, or do you think they should just, quote unquote, shut up and dribble, as somebody on Fox News once said?
I think unless they're very smart about what they're talking about, I think then they should just stay in their lane. I don't think every athlete, I don't think every celebrity is qualified to run for president, or that your child should look up to them because they're an entertainer, or they're a singer, or they're an actor, and they know how to play basketball or football, and then they have an opinion. I don't think your kids should listen to their opinion if they don't really know what they're talking about. So I think it depends on how much they know.
Yeah.
I mean, Muhammad Ali, he was
My all-time
one of the
favorite.
most political athletes ever, right? And it just depends on who it is. On the whole, I don't really think that just because somebody is in the spotlight doesn't make them a good role model.
Muhammad Ali, anti-Vietnam,
Yeah.
conscientious objector. I ain't got no beef with those Viet Cong. Was the first black athlete to stand up and say no to racism, no to conscription, to be forced to go fight in a war he didn't believe in. And I have said this from the start, to your point, This is a big, powerful platform they have. And if they're willing to do their homework on the issues, if they have the command of the issues and the command of the microphone, I am great. LeBron is all-time
Yeah, he
great
is good.
at speaking out on social and racial injustice. All-time great, but he knows what of he speaks, and he is highly capable of speaking. So, way to go, LeBron. There are others who try to speak out who have no idea what they're talking about,
It doesn't qualify them.
and they're not qualified.
So,
Okay. Let's try, this is Leslie from El Paso. New Jurassic Park was the big 4th of July movie release. This is for you.
Yeah.
Think you could kill dinosaurs like Scarlett Johansson does?
I guess it would depend on what's at stake. If my back was put to the wall and I had to survive,
She could
I
kill
could do it.
dinosaurs.
I
Trust
could.
me.
If anybody came
Trust
to
me.
my family and tried to hurt my family, I would kill. So I guess I could. Yeah. But I'm usually
could.
not a violent person.
Yeah.
I don't like violence.
I think the T-Rex would back down to her.
Yeah, I would break its arms. There's little
It's
arms.
little arms. Yeah. Just
It's
they're
tiny little
little.
arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
Yeah. Those velociraptors.
Yeah.
Whew.
I do like Scarlett Johansson, so.
She's a badass.
Yeah.
She can do it.
And she was also in the Woody Allen movie that I loved.
Okay, this is Max from Jersey City. You have opened up about how you got married in part because Skip was moving to LA for Undisputed. So to you, Miss Ernestine, had Skip stayed at ESPN, do you think you two would be married?
No.
Really?
I don't think we would be married.
I say yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I don't think we would have been married at all. If we were still living in the city and you had your life in Connecticut and I was in New York, I don't think we would. We were just rolling along fine.
Yeah,
You
I
really
just
don't. You think?
I don't think we would have been rolling to Connecticut anymore because it seems like all those shows were soon
Oh well, they were back
relocated
in New York, but
Manhattan.
life was different. But I don't think there wasn't a pressure for us to get married. We didn't want kids, so it didn't matter.
I just think at some point we would have said, well, come on,
maybe. I
we
don't
got to
know.
do this.
But
That's just me. Now you've hurt my feelings, but that's fine.
Oh, don't cry. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're married anyway. It's okay. I just thought the pressure wasn't there. It was really the pressure of coming out here, and I did not want to come out here if I wasn't married. So.
You don't want to come out here, period.
Well, that's a
It's a
whole
nother
other
issue.
story.
Yeah.
But-
All right, this is Mario Vira, 3639. Skip, do you like the Chef LeBron commercial?
Oh.
I showed it to her the
Oh,
other
it's
day.
cute.
Do you think LeBron would make a great chef? This is a pet peeve of mine because LeBron gets so much attention for these type things because he's so good
I
at
think
these
he looked like
commercials.
he could really
I'm
be a
sure
chef.
he could be a great chef.
I think so.
As a fourth quarter playoff basketball player, not so much.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
Maybe he could cut up on the court.
Yeah. One thing I would never do is be a great chef because my whole family is filled with them, and I am the black sheep of my family.
Yeah. You wouldn't be good with knives.
Okay, this is from G Maczilla on YouTube who says, subscribed, always enjoy Skip's reactions.
Oh, that's, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just the set decoration on this show.
Set decorator.
And finally, also from Instagram, this is at Jack_Charlotte23. Charlotte23, that's got to be a Jordan reference. I like Skip more when his wife is there.
Oh, that's
Laughing,
sweet.
crying emoji.
That's sweet. Thank you so much. That's very sweet.
So she does soften me.
Well, there is
On
a,
this
there
show,
is a
she's the
humanistic
star
side to-
and she's the star.
Oh.
I just go along for
Just
the ride
chop
on this
liver.
show. I'm just set decoration on the show.
Oh,
I'm just
please.
the reactor.
Oh boy!
on
Oh
this show.
boy! Here we go.
And that, believe it or not,
It's a
is
wrap.
that for round 32. We will see you next week if, in fact, we're still
We're
speaking.
fighting. We're not fighting.
It's
Peace
debatable.
out. Peace out.